Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Jackie and let's get started. For DIY number 1, this little tree at my local thrift store was only $2 and I thought it was cute, has potential. I liked the ribbons, I left them there. All I did was take some of this agave paint and painted the flower pot. Then I took some of these mini eggs from the Dollar Tree. They're made out of wood, and with my drill I created holes in each and every one of them. Super simple, super quick, like this. Now I'm going to go in with these 5 colors from Waverly and painted them up. And now I'm just going to simply place these little eggs with some tacky glue from Aileen and add some glue to the hole, each of the holes, and press them in the little points. So it looks like this. Now I'm taking the same paints, but I'm going to use this tool that came from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to use this to create some little dots, little speckles on these eggs, and now they're super cute. Now I'm going to go in with some of this boxwood from Walmart, some of these farmhouse wax flower bushes from the Dollar Tree in these 2 colors, and some of this baby's breath from Walmart. And look how adorable. Now I'm taking these 4 panels of wood fence from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove the jute hanger and all of the staples, and I'm going to use some of the Waverly chalk paint in the color Snow White, paint them all completely. And now using some of the super glue wood glue, I'm just going to adhere all these together to create a planter box type of DIY, just 4 sides like this. And I'm also using some of the larger bottles of paint that I have to keep them in place, because I don't want to use any hot glue for this. I just want to use the wood glue, and I want it to have time to just adhere and dry. So I have it like this. Now I'm going to take my heat gun and help it dry a little bit quicker, because like I mentioned, I didn't want to use any hot glue. I think the wood glue by itself has a better long-lasting hold. So then once I get this done, I want to add a bottom to this piece, but not completely. So I'm going into my scrap pieces of wood stash, and I found these 2 craft sticks. They're not the same size, but hey, we're just going to make it work. And I'm going to cut them down with my EMT shears until I get them to fit on the bottom, where the bottom piece of wood is at. So now I have one that's perfect, and I just go ahead and cut them both the same size, and I'll paint them up with the white again. And I'm just going to set them on here as my bottom to elevate my tree and place my tree in there. It looks perfect. And now all I'm going to do now is just add some of this mesh ribbon from the Dollar Tree on the outside, and that is it. This is how it looks. For DIY number 2, I'm taking this thick wooden dowel that I had on hand and this little candy cane plastic piece that my grandson had here at the house, and I remember he had it, and I think it had candy in it, like a little tube of candy, M&Ms or something. So anyway, I picked this up out of his toy box, and I don't think he'll miss it because he's got a million toys in there. So I'm just making a hole in the bottom of it so I can stick my wooden dowel in there, because I need this wooden dowel to have a hook on the end of it. And so I'll just put that in there with some glue, and I'll reinforce the insides and the outsides with the glue to make sure it doesn't come off. And I'll go in with some Waverly chalk paint in the color white. And once painted, I'm not liking the way that joint part is looking, so I'm adding some hot glue and some of this rope to kind of help conceal the fact that this was 2 pieces put together. So I'll wind it up a couple times, add a little bit of glue, and wind it up a couple more times until I get it looking more finished. And it might not look perfect, but I think it'll help so it won't look so like it's two pieces. So here's how it looks. And so now I'm taking this little umbrella. It's an actual umbrella, and it's one of those that goes around your head. And so I used to use it to take my doggies out because here in Florida it rains every day during the summer. And so I would wear it. The only problem is when you bend down, it comes off your head, so it's not very practical. So I'm going to use it for my DIY. And all I'm doing is hot gluing the wooden dowel to this little end piece here. And so once that's nice and cooled down and dry and sturdy and stable, I'm going to add my florals. And so I had these two from another project, and so I don't remember what they're called, but they're from the Dollar Tree. And so I'll add these, and originally I put one on each side, and I'll also go in with some wisteria from the Dollar Tree, which the wisteria is so beautiful. And I'll do the same thing. I'll bend in the bottom pieces just to make them fit. And I'll do one on one side and one on the other side, but I don't leave it like that because I ended up just changing it out. So first I thought I would like it like that, but then I changed it up where I added the wisteria to the left side and then the two white pieces of the two white picks on the right side. So here I'm adding some of this spider plant, and those I pretty much leave there. And then I also add a pick from Walmart, which I don't show here, but I'll add that later. And so now I'm taking this burlap ribbon that's really pretty that came off another project, and I'll just tie the umbrella closed, and I'll do a knot and a simple little bow, and I'll snip off the ends and also dovetail the ends, and that's it. I'm pretty much done. What do you guys think? For DIY number 3, we'll be creating a two-sided spring Easter centerpiece, one with traditional colors and the other one with rustic neutral colors. So we'll begin with the planter base. Here I'm going to take 3 of these crates from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take my utility knife and I'm going to press down, straight down, get the fingers out of the way, and press down until it goes through. And it's super easy because this wood is really soft. So then I'm just going to try to nudge it off, but I need to score the bottom a little bit in this manner. And once I score that a little tiny bit, then it just pops right off. And you'll do this to all 3 with the center one removing both sides. Now I'm going to take some of this super glue, wood glue, and I'm going to add the glue to the cut sides to create one large planter in this manner. And don't throw away those other pieces or remnant pieces. They will come in handy for other projects because they are wood. So now here I'm going to attach the other piece, and since it's a super glue wood glue, it actually dries pretty quickly, like in just a matter of a couple hours is all. That's all I waited, and here it is, and no hot glue needed at all. Now I'm going to go in with the Waverly antique wax and give it a nice full coat. I did add a little bit of water to it just to thin it out, and now I'm going to use the Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster to do a dry brushing on it just to make it look more rustic, because this planter is going to have a rustic base, but one side will be a traditional festive look and the other side will be a rustic neutral. Now for the bunny houses, I'm going to take 3 of these arrows, 2 large ones and 1 short one, and I'm going to go in with the wax again and do the same thing, add a little bit of water. Now I'm going to go in with the plaster chalk paint again to do a dry brush on here. And I'm just going to do very lightly, but if it goes a little thick, don't worry about it. It's fine. Dry brushing, there's really no wrong way to do it. It's just however it comes out, that's how it's going to be. So just go over it, and I went ahead and did both sides because, again, like I mentioned, this is going to be double-sided. And here they are, nice and ready. And now I'm going to go in with some of this fabric lace tape that my sweet friend Dina sent me. and she sent me two colors, this beige one and then a white one. So I ended up doing this beige one on this side and then the white one on the other side, and you'll see the difference in a little bit. But if you can't find this lace tape, I'm sure regular old lace trim or ribbon would work. This is just convenient because it has the adhesive on it already, so that just makes it a little easier. But otherwise, hot glue and Dollar Tree lace trim works great. So here it is. You can see the white one on one side and the beige on the other. Now ready to start assembling. I'm taking some of these floral foam bricks. This one comes, I think, four bricks in a pack, and they fit perfectly in these crates, except for I needed another half to fit on the end, and I just kind of pressed it down to make an indentation. And then I'm taking my multi-tool that has a kind of a sharp edge and slice down the piece I don't need, and I just wedge it in there. And I didn't add any hot glue or anything. It fits perfectly and is wedged in there, so it's not going to go anywhere. So now here are my little houses. Now I need to embellish these little houses, and I'm going to go in with these super cute gingham bunnies. They are so adorable. So I'm taking a couple of the purple ones, a couple of the pink ones, and I think I only did one blue one. If I would have done a taller house for the center, I probably could have fit two of the blue ones, but I wanted to have a variant of size on the houses, so I just went ahead and did it like this. So it's just one blue, and if I would have thought about it, I could have made them to where they represent my grandkids, but then they would have been colorful because I have 4 grandsons and just 1 granddaughter. So that's okay. We'll just do this in this manner. So now I'm taking the center house and pressing it down as far as I can. And once I get my indentation, then I'll pour a bunch of glue. And now I'll add my little house, set it in there. And I'll do the same thing for the other two. Just kind of press down. Got to put a little bit of pressure, but it'll go down just fine. And again, add a bunch of glue. And now secure the house in the floor foam like this. So now here's a third one. Same thing. Just push down, add the glue, and add the house. Look how adorable. And now I'm going to add a little bit of ground coverage to this floral foam, and I happen to still have some of these moss sheets, which are fantastic for this type of application. You're just going to cut and put together almost like a carpet. You won't even notice where the seams are, and if you cut it a little too short, no problem, add a little bit more. You really can't mess it up. Add glue and put your pieces down, like I mentioned, kind of like a puzzle. And look, here they are. Here's the base. Now I'm still going to work on this part, so I'm going to add some more of these bunnies because there's still space on the 2 larger houses. So I'll just alternate the purple and the pink. The poor blue is all lonely all by itself. The watcher of the gals. How about that? The watcher of the gals. So now we're going to work on the other side, and on this side I'm going to use these super cute little bunnies. They're wood bunnies with little cottontails. Oh my goodness, they are so adorable, and they're small enough I can add 3 to the large houses, and then 1 for the center house. But look how cute. And then I still had extra, so I went ahead and added some to the front of the planter and kind of had their little ears peek out a little bit. So I thought that would be cute to see from the other side. So just like this. Basically I wanted to kind of conceal where the seams are from when I put the crates together, because these crates are not made equal. They're never made equal. You just have to work with it. So now I'm just going to add my hot glue and adhere them in this manner. Now a little later I do take them off because then I decided to add some of that lacy trim to the top of the planters. So I do beige on this side, like the beige on the top of the roofs, and on the other side I do the white trim lace tape, just like the top of those houses. So I do remove these later, but for now, that's how it is. And now we'll move into some of the embellishments. This is going to be the fun part. So I'm going to use these Easter eggs from last year and some of the Waverly antique wax, and then this pack of little minis with some of these colors, this yellow, this pink, purple, blue, orange, green, and white. And just like that, they're all painted. Now I did leave some neutral ones in the little box, the little wooden box, because I'll use those for my neutrals. And now I'm going to mix match these colored ones just to give them a little bit more interest, and I'll adhere them together with some hot glue. And once I get those done, then I'll flip them over. The other side has the antique wax, and then I'll add the neutral colored pieces onto the backs. So that way one side is neutral and one side is traditional, and you'll see how it looks on the planter in a little bit. But look how cute! And I do use those rabbits for some of these. The little chickies I end up using later on just to help embellish the whole planter. And the little carrots, you'll see those in a little bit too. But look how adorable. Oh, these are so cute. These little pieces are so much fun. So here they are already. So you see one side, they're all decorated in a traditional color, and on the other side, very neutral. Because you know, sometimes you want neutral, sometimes you want traditional. So now I'm ready to put everything together. Here is my planter, and now I'm going to add these Easter eggs, and all I'm going to do is take a little bit of hot glue and adhere these down onto the moss sheets like this. So I'm just going to place them where I think I want them. I think I did 3 on each side or so, just whatever I felt like would look cute. And I usually don't show this much detail in my placement of my embellishments, but since this is going to be the only DIY for this video, I figured I'll show more and you guys can see my thought process. And sometimes I do change things up, like I mentioned with the little bunnies on the other side. I do end up changing that up a little bit, and as you can see here, there's no lace on the front of this planter yet, so I do that later. So look, turn it around and look, all neutral. Look at that. This side, all traditional. So now I'm going to go in with some of these moss bunnies. These are super cute and they come 3 in a pack. So I'm just taking some bamboo skewers that I had added a little bit of the antique wax, and I'm just going to add some glue and press these down. Now because of the moss sheets, it's going to be a little bit difficult to do that, so I'm using one of my weeding tools to make the hole, to kind of like pre-make a hole, push a hole in there. And now I can add my bamboo skewers in my pre-made hole like this. Just push down a little bit, and may have to do it twice. But yeah, there it goes. So here I added the bigger bunny on one side and then the 2 smaller bunnies on the other side, but of course you can do however you want, but I thought this would look cute. So here I'm going to add the 2 that are kind of like sitting on this left side, and then the one that's kind of, well, one's sitting straight up and the other 2 are kind of like sitting like down, and like this. Look how cute. So now I'm going to do a little bit of greenery. I had these extra ferns from, I think they were from the mini roses, so I like the color of these fern pieces because they have like a light green and a darker green and a little bit of that like a powdery stuff on it. So I thought it was kind of neat. So I'm going to use those to add greenery and add interest to my houses. So I'll add 1 piece on each side of these houses. So I end up using 4 on one side and 4 on the other side like this. So now here you can see the other side starting to come to life little by little. Now here I have a bunch of these little pieces that are also from those mini roses, and I just cut them in little tiny bits, and I'm just going to add them because I think the little tiny bits of greenery really gives it a very interesting and kind of high-end look, very delicate. And I don't know, I think it's in the details. It's all in the details, and these tiny little pieces, they just bring it to life. I think just super cute. So I'm just going to take my time and add these to, I do it to both sides. Now I'm going to go in with these mini carrots. These are from the Dollar Tree. They're kind of like a little foam tiny carrot, and I'm just going to add these to the very front, almost like there's a carrot patch in front of the house. So I just keep adding some greenery and that lace trim, and here's how it looks. Here's one side, the traditional side, and here's the neutral side. DIY number 4, I'm taking one of these garden fence panels from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to remove the tag on there, and I'm going to use some Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster, and with one of the Dollar Tree round chippy brushes, I'm going to very lightly just distress this panel, and I'm just going to go in until I get it all distressed the way I like it. And now I'm taking one of these planters from the Dollar Tree and do the same thing, and I'll just go all the way around it, and I'll just keep working it until I get it the way I like it, until it looks like this. Super cute. And now I'm going to adhere some of this floral foam, this styrofoam, into the bottom and set that aside so it'll cool, because it was a lot of hot glue. And now I'm taking this fence panel that's nice and dry, all the paint is dry, and I'm just going to hook it onto itself with the 2 little hooks on the side. And so now I'm going to place this whole little setup inside of my planter and hold it and adhere the sides to the planter, and making sure that both of the sides that have the stakes on the bottom are adhered well to the pot. And so I'll do both sides, this side, and then there's another side on the other. There you go, right here. Okay, so now it's all nice and dried and glued together. And I'm taking this little core piece from the Dollar Tree, and it's got a cute little watering can on it. And it's just on a burlap ribbon, so I just tear that off, remove the sticker, and I'm going to take some of these little fairy lights from Amazon. And I love these little fairy lights because they already have the battery in it. There's no need to go looking for batteries. And so for me, this is just so easy. And then the little battery pack is so thin and small, and it's easy to hide. And I don't know, I just prefer it. So I'm taking this string of fairy lights, and I'm going to bend them and kind of create 3 or 4 strands that are kind of hanging down like this. So I'm just going to pull and kind of, you know, bend the little bottoms, and then I'll twist the top till I get the desired length and how many of the little strands that I want hanging down, because these lights are going to represent or become the water coming out of the pitcher. So I'm going to adhere the little battery pack to the back of this little MDF watering can, and then wrap the excess wire around it. And I'll just take this remnant craft stick that I had, and I'll just adhere it on here, clip it on with some clips to hold it in place and let it dry. So I'll set it aside and come back to it. And in the meantime, I'm going to add some hot glue to the foam that's in the pot, and with some of the regular floral moss, I'm going to just cover that bottom. And now I'm going to go in with some of these florals, and these are called Hot Bush, and I think these florals are so cute. So on these white creamy looking flowers, I go ahead and remove them from their pick because I want them to kind of be flowing on the sides. The only problem is when you remove them from the pick, you lose the height. So on this purple set of the Hot Bush, I just go ahead and leave them all on the pick, and I put them right in the center, and I leave them on the pick because I need the height. So I go ahead and just kind of twist them and kind of then add some more of the white, and I'll add some other foliage to it just to make it more full. But for the most part, I'm using just these white, and then the purple, and then the foliage that I mentioned, these leaves here. And I go ahead and remove these from the pick because I'm just going to add them as some filler to make this pot look full like this. So now I'm going back to my little cute pitcher with full water, but I'm noticing that it needs a little bit more stability. So I take another little piece of a craft stick, and I just adhere that to the very top, the very end of the spout on the back. So like this. I'll add some more glue, and I'll put the next little piece here, and I'll clip that and let that dry, and that just gives it more stability, so now it's not all falling backwards, if that makes sense. So remove the clips, and look, it's so cute. Looks like water. Okay, so now I'm taking these jumbo bamboo sticks, and these things are so long. Oh my goodness, they're like 2-3 feet long. I don't know, I didn't measure, but they are long. So I'm going to put one inside the pot to try to see the height that I'd like, And once I figure out the height that I would like my little picture to be hanging over, then I take my miter shears and snip off the excess. And so now all I have to do is adhere my dowel or bamboo stick onto the back of the little picture. So I'll glue that, and once that's glued and nicely adhered, then all I have to do now is wait for it to dry. Use some clips to hold it in place. And while I wait for that to dry, for the glue to dry, because it's a lot of hot glue, I'll use another one of these little rounded chippy little brushes that are from the Dollar Tree, and I'll just take some of the Waverly antique wax to help paint the dowel itself. Or I keep saying dowel, but it's bamboo stick. So I just go ahead and paint that with the antique wax to give it a more natural look. It won't be so white or so beige. And so I'm also going to go ahead and give the little pitcher or the little watering can a little bit of a rusting effect. And so I'll go around the perimeter and give it that rusting effect where water would naturally make it rust. And so I'll do it on the bottom, I'll do it on the spout, I'll do it on the handle, and on the top. And of course on my, I keep saying dowel, I want to say dowel, but you could use a dowel, but this is a bamboo skewer, a big bamboo skewer. And all I have to do is add it on here, and it's done. Look how cute. So cute. What do you guys think? For DIY number 5, and I'll begin with these 2 Dollar Tree doll houses, remove them from their packaging, and I'll set everything aside. I do actually work on the furniture as well. So here's one house, here's the other house, and I'm going to do something very different than I'm usually doing. I usually go in with spray paint that bonds to plastic right away, but this time I'm doing something totally different. So I'll begin with some Mod Podge in the mat. Give it a full coat, inside and outside. Set that aside, and now I'm going to take some baking soda. No, these are not cookies. Take some baking soda and some Waverly chalk paint in the color Elephant. Just pour some in, mix it with my brush, my paintbrush, and just go straight in and start painting a cement type of stucco kind of look until they look like this. And right now they're looking a little Halloweenish, but that's okay. So now I'm going to take that same paint and add a little bit of water because I'm going to do some planters with this same mixture, but I don't want it as thick as I did the houses. So I found these really cute planters at the Dollar Tree. They're plastic, and I like the ornate portion of the top. I think it's really pretty, but I'm just going to go in where the line is on the midway center section and down. And so I'll get them completely coated with this paint and set them aside to dry. Planters nice and dry, and I want to do a different shade of gray for the top portion, the ornate portion. So I'm going to go in with some of the apple barrel paint in the color pewter gray. It's a different shade than the elephant color, and I'll set those aside. Now here are my houses, nice and dry, and they are thick, very thick. They're no longer flimsy little houses. And now I'm going to go in with some of the folk art home deco wax in the color white, and I'm going to go in with my chunky chippy brush and go over this whole house inside and outside and give it all a nice coating, a nice thin layer of coating, so it'll bring out all the texture and all the details, and like I mentioned, both outside and inside. And so I'll continue to do this until they look like this. And here they are. Now I'll set those aside to dry, and now I'll do a nice thin layer of the white wax on my planters. So here's all the paint nice and dry. The top portion has the lighter shade of gray, and I'll go in with the wax to bring out all the details. And as you can see here, they just pop. Look at that. Wow, they just pop so nicely. And I also do the bottom portion as well, like this. nice thin layer, and I'll do a thorough coat on the sides, both back side and front side, so they look like this. Set that aside so it'll dry. Go back to my little houses, and now I'm going to go in with my little bin of floral moss and get it all nice and loose. And here we go. Hot glue. Hot glue on top and some moss to cover. And I'll continue this process, and I'll do both houses in the same manner until I get them all nice and covered with the moss, because I'm going for kind of an English cottage Peter Rabbit kind of woodsy look. If you can kind of picture all that together, that's the kind of look I'm going for with this Easter edition of my Dollar Tree doll houses. So I just continue to add the moss and give it a nice full coverage on the roof, both roofs actually, both the two houses. And so I'll just continue, and now here they are, nice and done. And now I'm going to go in with my detail scissors to give them both a nice little haircut and expose all the cute little windows on these two houses until they look like this. So now I'm going to go in with this apple barrel paint in the color Snow White, and with a tiny little detail brush, I'm just going to take my time and go over all of the framework of these little houses, the windows and the doors, and just take my time and then set that aside, allow it to dry. In the meantime, I'm going back to my planters, and they're pretty deep, so I'm going to fill them up with some of this packing craft paper or packing paper, and that way I won't have to add so much floral foam. And I also cut out 2 ovals with some of the foam core board, and so I just cut them out and set them in there. And I'm still able to add my florals with this foam core board. I'm just popping them through there. So now here I'm going to take some hot glue and give it a nice coat of hot glue and add some more of the floral moss, because I still have a bin full, so hey, why not? So it's a pretty good ground coverage too. So here they are, nice and done. Here I'm going to add my little houses, just set them on top, and they are looking so cute. So now I'm going to begin embellishing, and I'm going to begin with some of this mesh ribbon from the Dollar Tree. It comes in several colors, but I wanted to use this green to kind of go with the greens of the forest, of the floral moss, you know, really cute foresty look. And I'm just going to take a little bit of hot glue and adhere it to the front of my planter, and then go around and make sure the ribbon is nice and taut. Pull it to the front, add a little bit more of the hot glue where it meets in the center, and press it down to adhere it and secure it. And I'm actually really liking this mesh ribbon. It's kind of cute. So I go ahead and do both of my planters in this manner till they look like this. And now I'm going to take some more of this ribbon, and I'm going to attempt to create a bow. Yeah, I've never done this before, not with this kind of ribbon. It's really an odd kind of texture, but I do my ribbon like normal, cinch it in the center, and take a nice piece of jute twine and go around it a couple times and tie it in a nice secure double knot on the back, nice and tight. That way it won't come undone. And then I'll snip off the excess of the jute twine and kind of fluff up the ribbon. And you know what? It worked pretty well. It looks like a bow. Look at that. Wow. If you guys find this ribbon in your Dollar Tree, pick it up. It's pretty cool. The texture is pretty neat, and it's pretty easy to use. So now here I'm just snipping off a little bit on the tails. I'm not going to dovetail the ends or anything, just because the texture is really odd. It's different, unique. And here I'm just going to add a little dab of glue and put them both in place. And now all I have to do is the embellishing, and I'll go in with some of these greenery bouquet florals and some of these wildflowers from the Dollar Tree as well. Some of these cute bunny erasers from the Dollar Tree, and some of these eggs from the Dollar Tree, and these moss bunnies, and more of these eggs in the purple and the blue and the pink and in the green, and some of these twine carrots. And I also picked up this packet of cute Peter Rabbit kind of style stickers from Amazon, and I used a couple of them for the inside of the house. DIY number 6. I'm going to use one of these new bunny decor pieces from the Dollar Tree, and you may think that they've had these before. This one has a pretty vivid wood grain to it, and I'm also going to use 2 of these smaller ones. These little bunnies have been around for a while, and I went ahead and painted little bunnies with the Waverly chalk paint in the color Snow White. And now I'm going to give them both a layer of Mod Podge, allow that to dry, and you guessed it, we're going to add some more of this beautiful napkin paper. I think it's just beautiful. And I'm going to activate the adhesive again with my mini easy press. On this one, I'm not using any parchment paper, not yet, not until I add the parchment paper on the top to seal it. So here I'm just making sure all the edges are done. And now I'm going to take my paintbrush and a little bit of water, and I'm going to go ahead and remove the excess with this paintbrush and water. It's the easiest way to actually remove tissue paper and napkin paper. You just tear it off real easily, and it's pretty perfect every time. So that's another trick. I don't know if you guys have ever done that. So just remove that like this, and then the rest of it I'll go ahead and remove the edges with my finger sander, my old trusty finger sander, in this manner until they look like this. Super cute. Now just go ahead and adhere these to the side of the bunny. Now I'm taking one of these new garlands from the Dollar Tree. Oh my goodness, this is so pretty. This is also from the Spring Fling collection. And I'm going to use 2 of the pink flowers and 1 of the yellow flowers to give it a little bit of decor around its neck. I wanted to put it on his or her little head, but the flower's a little bit large, so I just went around the neck like this. Give it like a little, I don't know, little collar, and add some of these felt leaves that came with it. So basically I kind of deconstructed the garland. So here I was thinking about putting one on the top, but I changed my mind. So just adding a few more of these felt little leaves. Now this garland brought 1 purple, kind of like a fluffy flower, and I thought it resembled a tail, like a bunny tail, kind of a long bunny tail. So we're going to use it for a bunny tail. Kind of long, but hey, we're going to go with it. And it's got a flat bottom to it, so just add some glue and put it on his little tail like this. Look, that's unique, right? I thought it was cute. So now I'm taking some of the jute twine that came off of this garland to create a couple little bows, and I'm just going to place these on the little bunnies for their little necks like this. So yeah, this got to use up what we can from our little packet, and they're just little shoelace bows. That's it. Super cute. Add a little dab of glue and place it on their little necks like this. So now for the top, those 2 holes, I'm going to use one of these other garlands that they have, brand new from the Spring Fling collection. And this one has pom-poms. I don't want to use the blue, I think the blue one. I didn't want to use the blue one because I don't have anything blue on this bunny. So I'm just going to snip off some of this cord, and I'm going to use just a yellow, a pink, although the pink's a little bit brighter than what I'm using, but a little bit of a pink, a purple, and a green. And I'm just going to add a little dab of glue to the end of this cord because it was fraying and I need it to go into this hole easily. Once I have it on there, I'll just do a nice double knot to secure it, remove the excess on the front, and do the same thing to the other side. Add a little dab of glue, wait for it to cool a little bit. Now just kind of roll it with my fingers, get it sharp like a makeshift needle, and I'm just going to do a double knot and remove the excess on the end which has the glue like this. I have a little hanger. Look how cute this side looks. For DIY number 7, I am taking 9 of these wooden boxes from the Dollar Tree. Yes, they are back. And I'm also going to take Waverly products in the antique wax and these different paints, chalk paints. And I'm going to paint them all up like this. And now I'll set them in this formation, and I'm going to adhere them together with hot glue until they look like this. Now I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint in the color Snow White and my chunky chippy brush, and I'm just going to distress everything to lighten it all up and give it more character, just to give it that dimension and interest. And I'll just paint this whole thing front and back. And I'm going to flip this up with the bottom up, and I'm going to use these large wood beads and some of the super glue wood glue, and I'm going to adhere these onto the bottom of these drawers because I want this to be a little bit raised from the bottom, and allow this paint to dry and cure. And once it's dry, then flip it over. I'm taking these drawers out, and when you take these drawers out, make sure you put them back exactly where they go, or you'll have a big surprise and they won't fit. So now I'm flipping them all over to the opposite side, and I'm just going to do one coat of the white chalk paint so the colors on the napkins will pop. And now I'm going to take these different gingham printed napkins. This one is from the Dollar Tree, this green one, and then the rest of these are from Amazon, and they actually come in one pack. So that's a fantastic deal. And I'll have everything linked in my Amazon storefront link, and that'll be in my description box in my link tree. So now I'm going to take these napkins and bring them down to 1 ply, and using my Mod Podge, I'm going to decoupage all of these on the back sides of these little drawers. And I'm going to begin by just doing a regular decoupaging method, and that's just by adding the Mod Podge like this. And I'm just going to go ahead and place my piece of napkin on top. With this napkin, it doesn't really matter because the lines are diagonal, and really it's not big of a deal. The rest of them, the lines are vertical and horizontal, so I'm going to do the other method by adding the Mod Podge, allowing it to dry, and then placing my napkin papers. Now here I went ahead and smoothed out all the wrinkles on the green one. Now that the Mod Podge is dry on the rest of them, I can very safely add my napkin papers without them sticking by accident, because I really wanted these to be straight. So that's a trick there. So I went ahead and did the rest in the same manner. I'll show you one more. Just laying it up very carefully, nice and straight. And you see how I had to turn it around and it didn't stick to anything because it was dry. So that's the trick. And on this one, I'm using my parchment paper because on the pink one, you can't really tell, but it kind of scorched a tiny little bit. So now I'm using my parchment paper. So here I'm all done. Now I'm just taking my finger sander and sanding off all the excess tissue off all of these little drawers for a perfect edge. Look how adorable. And I did that to the rest of them in the same manner. Now I'm going to take my Mod Podge, add another layer to them all to seal them up. But now that's when the wrinkles start coming up, so I'm going to go ahead and take my parchment paper and smooth all the wrinkles away. One more time, and this does the trick. Now they're all smooth. The thing about this though, you have to wait till it cools down because the Mod Podge gets activated. So now I'm going to go in with these cute little chalkboard stickers, and these are from Crafter Square. Placing them on. Now I'm going to take these push pins. These are also from the Dollar Tree from Jot, and I like the colors that they come in. And I'm just going to hold them down with my needle nose pliers, and with my rubber mallet I'm just going to pop them in, and they work perfectly. Look how cute. So now I'm taking my needle nose pliers and bending down the little point so it won't stick anything. Here's the last few. I'm going to do them real quick. They just pop right in like magic. And I like the colors. The colors are almost the same colors as all these napkin papers. Now I'm going to take my Artex paint marker, and I'm just going to write my numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that is it for this one. Super cute. Put them back in their cubby holes, and they all fit perfectly because I didn't mess up the order. So yeah, definitely don't mess up the order. But look how adorable. And now I'm going to fill them up with some candies and some goodies. And for more of a spiritual experience, you could do scriptures too. And here's how they look. Here's one side. Here's the other. DIY number 8, I'm going to use one of these wooden trays, one of these pretty nice sized birdhouses, and this pack of garden embellishments, and this pack of garden fence panels with flowers. And I'm going to go in with the Waverly chalk pen in the color Snow White again, give everything a nice complete coat. Now here we go, another one of these napkins. Guys, I love this napkin. What can I say? So now I want to put some of this napkin around the sides of this tray and the rooftop of the little house. So I go ahead and add my Mod Podge and allow that to dry. Now here it's nice and dry. I did cut out some strips this time just to make everything a little bit easier. And I'm just going to place these strips on the sides of this tray and taking my mini easy press and adhering this whole piece down, activating all the Mod Podge again, and I do this to the whole outside portion of this tray, like this. And we'll do the same thing to the birdhouse with the rooftop. So allow that to cool for a minute. Now here are my pieces for the roof. I decided to add this piece on one side. I really like the flowers on this napkin. I think it's just beautiful. And here's the other side, and adhere it with the mini easy press. And now once everything's cool, I will take my finger sander and sand off all the excess paper like this. It just comes off so easily, just shears right off. It's fantastic. As well as this piece here that's kind of an odd piece, and the little tiny pieces on the top edge comes off beautifully. Look at that. And I'll do the same thing to the rooftop, and I will seal everything with the Mod Podge. So here it is. Here's the rooftop getting this little trim off all the pieces that need to come off this top. Comes off so easily. And then I don't show adding the Mod Podge, but of course I do seal it with Mod Podge. And I go ahead and use my mini easy press and some parchment paper to make sure we don't have any wrinkles afterwards, because that's usually when you find the wrinkles. So here it is. I'm just going to go ahead and use my mini easy press again, and once it's nice and cool, then I'll remove the parchment paper, because again, the parchment paper is now touching the adhesive of the Mod Podge. So you have to let it cool, or else you may rip off all your beautiful work, and you don't want to rip that off, of course. So see how easily it comes off when it's nice and cool. And now it's ready to start decorating. So now we're going to use a little bit of floral foam, and not necessarily for any florals per se, but it's going to be mostly for height. For the inside of this tray, it's a little bit too deep for what I want. So here I'm just going to cut this down with this multi-tool from the Dollar Tree, and go ahead and shear off some of these pieces. And I do go ahead and add some hot glue to adhere it all together. And again, like I mentioned, this is for height, so if you want, you can always add maybe some wood or some cardboard or something else if you don't want to use your floral foam for this. But I just went ahead and used it. These were just random excess pieces that I had on hand, so I thought, why not? So now I'm going to cover this with some of these pieces of moss sheets, and I'm just going to add some hot glue to place them down in this manner. And these happen to fit almost perfectly. I just had to trim this one just a tiny little bit, but for the most part fit pretty perfectly in this tray. I was pretty happy. So just like this, now I'm going to take my little birdhouse and I'm going to adhere it with some hot glue. And I also found these really cute mini pots, flower pots, so I had to paint those white. Now I'm going to take all these pieces that I painted white, and I'm going to distress it all with some of the Waverly antique wax and the baby wipe with my clip, my craft clip. And I'm just going to go ahead and distress all these pieces, and I do the front and the back, and I just end up choosing which are my favorites. Some were a little bit too heavy, but some were just perfect. So I just went ahead and distressed it all. I just played some music and just had at it. I just had at it. And I didn't show it, but I also did distress the little birdhouse after it was already adhered to my tray. It was an afterthought. I don't know why I didn't think about it, but I got it distressed. So right here I'm almost done with these pieces. And so now I'm going to start to add these pieces onto my tray. And I didn't film this whole portion because this took me a while to figure out how I wanted it. So yeah, it took a while. But look, this is how it looks. Look how cute. Oh, it's adorable. And now I decided I wanted one more dimension of texture. So I'm going to go in with some of this new floral ribbon from the Dollar Tree. It's actually not new. They had it last year, but it's out again. So I was happy to see that. So I snipped off a piece to go around my tray, and then I cut that lengthwise because it was a little thick. Now I'm just going to add a couple dabs of glue and place it on the bottom portion of my tray, and using my silicone spatula to hold it down because this has a lot of holes. Now I'm just going to take the other piece that I had snipped off when I cut it lengthwise, and I'm just going to create a nice cute little bow. And yes, it does create bows. This ribbon is pretty cute. So now I'm just going to snip off some of the tails. It's just a little bit too long, so I'll just snip them off in a straight line like this. And I just add a dab of glue and place it in the center. And now I am done. Oh my goodness, look how adorable. And this is how it looks. This is the front. This is the one side. This is the back. And this is the other side. For DIY number 9, I'm going to begin with these silicone molds from Amazon and some of this white foam clay also from Amazon. And I'm just going to take a nice little bunch of it and do a little bit of conditioning by pulling it. And now I'm just going to fill these little molds with some of this foam clay. This first one is going to be a little door, and the second one is going to be a window. So here I'm removing the door. It's nice and dry, and I'm snipping off any excess. And this is the best part about using foam clay, is that when it dries soft, so you can still remove any excess. Now I'm going to take 4 of these wooden crates from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take my utility knife and I'm going to score the sides so I can cut them. And then I'm going to take this other utility knife. This one's from the Dollar Tree. It's essentially a full blade, and this one will definitely cut through the rest of this wood, this balsa wood. Does a great job with it. So I'm going to remove one side, one short side and one long side of each, like this. Now I never throw away my extra pieces. I will use them eventually later on. Then I'm going to take some super glue, wood glue from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to apply some of this wood glue all over the cut open ends. And I'm going to take this piece of parchment paper just to protect my surface, and I'm going to place them together in this manner, because I'm turning these 4 crates into one larger crate or box like this. Now I do have some gaps that are on the sides, and that's because the base parts of these crates are actually longer than the handle parts, but I will remedy that later on. Right now I'm just trying to create my large box made out of these little crates. So once I get them nice and aligned and I press them in, then I'll just pull this away and allow this to dry completely. Now I did allow this to dry overnight just because I will be adding some heavy things on here. But here it is, nice and dry. It looks a little rustic, but hey, we'll go for that. So now I'm going into my little stash of extra parts, and these are all my little wooden parts, just little pieces that I never throw away, but I always end up using them somehow. And these are just pieces of craft sticks. Some are the jumbo ones, some are the smaller ones. Whatever I happen to have in here, I'm just going to utilize to remedy all these pieces that are open in this manner. Just a little bit of hot glue, and that reinforces this whole box like this. I'm going to go in with Waverly chalk paint in the color Celery, give it a full coat, allow it to dry completely, and I'm going to take the Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster, and with my chunky chippy brush I will distress this whole piece, give it a nice dry brushing, and just go over the whole thing. I do the sides, the back, the insides, everything, and just that way it's a nice cohesive look. And look, it's looking so cute, super cute. So once I get this done, then I will set this aside. That way it continues to dry completely, even though it's dry brushing. Sometimes that paint is still a little bit wet. So now I'm taking 3 of these bottles. These are actually barbecue sauce bottles, and I'm repurposing them. Now I'm taking some of this orange foam clay, and I'm taking a nice big chunk of it, and I'm going to condition it by pulling it and pulling it and folding it and pulling it. And even though the color of this foam clay is pretty vibrant, it does not end up on my hands. And here I'm remembering to remove my rings because I'll definitely leave marks. Okay, so now I'm just going to wrap this jar or this bottle, this glass bottle, with some of this foam clay, and I'm just going to pull it and stretch it, and it's very forgiving, so it's great. And I'm just going to keep pulling it and pinching it together to cover the whole bottle, because I'm turning these bottles into some giant carrots. Yes. But you haven't seen that before. Oh my goodness, the things. The things. Okay, so now I'm just taking this bamboo skewer, and I'm just going to make some little marks because I will be doing a little bit of detailing with a little bit of antique wax later on, and this will make it a little easier. So now here I went ahead and did all 3 the same way, allow these to dry overnight, and now here's the antique wax, and I'm just going to go over it with a tiny thin brush, just real gently like this, and then I'll go back in with a baby wipe to help remove some of it because I don't want it to be too thick, too strong. So here I'm just removing some of it, and I think this baby wipe had a little bit of white paint, but that's okay. Okay, so here's my window. I didn't get to show you my window. Snipping off all the excess in this manner. The door is on the tabletop. One of these giant carrots will be a house. So that's what this is going to be. So here I'm just going to set everything aside so I can start putting everything together. Here is my box from the crates. Now since my brush still had some of the Waverly antique wax, I'm just going to go ahead and antique my window a little bit. It's a little bit too white. And then I also do the door real quick. Just whatever's left on my brush. It was good enough. Like this. And then set that aside. Okay, so now I'm going to take these empty ribbon spools and I'm going to cut these holes a little bit larger. These will help reinforce my bottles in place because they need a little help. They're a little bit heavy. They are glass. Now, if you happen to have any plastic bottles, that's great. This is what I had, so this is what I used. So I'm just making the hole a little bit long, a little bit bigger. And now I'm going to place my ribbon spools where I think I want my large carrots, my jumbo carrots. And I'm going to place them inside. Place a little bit of glue and place them in the box, situate them in there nice and secured like this. More glue. And now I'm going to place my bottles inside. They fit perfectly, but before I give it a permanent home, I'm going to take some Fix-All from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to add it to the bottle opening. And now I'll place this in the ribbon spools. And I do this to all 3 in the same manner. No hot glue, just the Fix-All I will have plenty of time to allow this to dry and set perfectly. So I'm not going to worry about hot glue. So I'm going to place them like this. Now I'm going to take this pool noodle that I got from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to slice it up with my utility knife. And then I'm going to cut that in half. I went ahead and make sure it's going to fit in there. And I'm going to use this for floral foam because I couldn't find any floral foam today. I couldn't believe it. I went to the store, couldn't find any. So this is going to have to work. So I just place it on the sides like this and then take another piece for the back because I will be adding florals and moss and other embellishments, and I need this to have some kind of a base for my embellishments. So now here is my moss. I did find moss. I was happy about that. So now I'm just going to add my moss on there, give it a nice covering. Doesn't have to be perfect because like I said, I will be adding other things. But the good thing about moss is you can move it around. I'm not going to adhere it down into this box. I'm going to allow it to be free. So now I'm going to take some hot glue and I'm going to add my little door. And I'm just going to press it down. And that's another great thing about this foam clay. My foam pieces are nice and pliable, so they can contour to pretty much any kind of shape. Here's my little window. We'll get a closer look at all this a little bit later. So I'm going to take some puffy paint and I'm going to go around the window and the door just because there's like a little bitty gap, and this will help fill it in, kind of like a little bit of caulking for my carrots. So just I do the top and I do the sides. I don't do the bottom just because it's just too hard to get in there and you really can't see it anyway. So now I got that going. I allow that to dry. I won't mess with it anymore. So now I'm going to take some more foam clay and I'm going to create the tops of my carrots. And what I'm going to do is cut this in 3 sections like this. And I'm going to set it aside, that way they can dry a little bit. This foam clay is pretty wet. So now here I'm taking some of this foliage from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to go ahead and cut off these pieces. These will be the tops of my carrots, or to my carrots. So here I just remove them, get them ready. And now I'm going to take some more pieces of this pool noodle and I'm going to add a little bit of glue and press it on top of my bottles because I need my greenery to grab onto something. So now here is the rest of the foam clay and I'm just going to place these on top to secure the pieces of pool noodles in place, and then that way I can press my greeneries on top like this. Look at that. Now they're looking like carrots. Yes, look how cute. And now to embellish this project, I'm going to use some of these mushrooms from the fairy garden section, some of these bunny erasers, some lacy ribbon, some of these florals, and some other embellishments. And this is how it looks. For DIY number 10, I'm taking this acrylic plastic case from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to go in with some of the Waverly chalk paint in the color white and paint it. And now going with this Asani paint marker, and I'm going to paint up all the edges of this container all the way around and on the bottom of the lid as well, like this. So now that it's all painted, and I'll do the same thing with the lid. And so now I'll set that aside, looking cute. And from the Dollar Tree, I picked up these 2 packs of little buckets, and they're in the wedding section. They're just called favor sets. And so you get 2 in a pack, but I only need 3, so I'll take 2 from one pack and 1 from another pack. And so I'll take these 3 buckets, and I'm going to go in with the same Asani black paint marker, and I'll do a little bit of painting on the rims of these buckets and on the bottoms as well. Once painted, then I'll put them in each of the little compartments in the little tray, and I'll add some of this styrofoam inside each of the little buckets. I'll just hot glue it inside, and then I'll grab some florals, and I choose these really pretty little pink roses, these little mini roses from the Dollar Tree, and I'll snip them all very small, very short, and it's just a matter of putting them inside the little buckets. And once I'm done with that, I'll just add a little tag to the front, and with a Crafter Square metallic marker, I write on there, May flowers, 10 cents. And then I'll just hot glue this to the very front of the little tray. And that is it. Super cute. What do you guys think? For DIY number 11, I'm going to begin with one of these new Dollar Tree wood rounds. This one is for Easter, and it's a beautiful tulip. I love tulips. And it's a wood round surrounded with half beads, half wood beads. And I'm going to go in with the Waverly chalk paint in the color Snow White, give it a full coverage. Now I'm going to go in with these beautiful brand new napkins from the Spring Fling collection. And I'm absolutely loving this pattern with the pinkish flowers. And I'm going to take this down to 1 ply because we're going to do some decoupaging with some Mod Podge. And I'm just using the matte. It's probably my favorite Mod Podge. So I'm just taking this brush and I'm just going to add some Mod Podge and allow this to dry. This is nice and dry now. Now I'm going to position my napkin where I want it. And I'm going to use my mini easy press, or you could use any iron that has no steam, and do this. And go ahead and iron it and activate the glue, the adhesive of the Mod Podge, and it'll stick perfectly with no wrinkles. And I'm just going to take my scissors and snip off the excess napkin because I want to try to remove the excess with my lighter, but I run into a little problem and you guys will see the whole thing. So here I'm just making sure all the edges are nice and adhered. So here's my lighter and here I go. Took a little while to click, click, click. And here goes the flame. It's contouring to my tulip. And here, click, click, click. Finally, I get it to go again. And guess what? That is it. I am out of lighter fluid. I cannot finish this project the way I wanted to. So, I had to go to plan B. And that is my finger sander. So I'm just taking my finger sander to remove the excess napkin paper like this. And I just keep going around until I get it all removed. And just like this, look at this. Now you can see the beautiful tulip. And I'm just taking a dry brush to remove any excess dust or soot from the burning. So now I'm going to go back in with my chalk paint in the color Snow White to do some touch-ups. And now I'm taking some of this Tim Holtz Distressing ink and my distressing applicator to distress my little tulip, because the burning of the napkin paper would have made that effect, but since that didn't work for me, I had to go to some distressing ink and it worked just fine. Look at that, super cute. So now I'm going to go back in and seal the whole thing, the whole tulip, with my Mod Podge just to get it sealed, and that way it's nice and protected. And I do the whole thing, of course. And once this dries, just to make sure that everything is nice and beautiful and wrinkle free, I go back in with my mini iron, my mini easy press, and make sure everything's nice and beautiful. So like this. Now since it has the other layer of Mod Podge on the top, then we have to wait until this cools down before you can remove this parchment paper. So there it is, nice and cool. So now I'm going to go ahead and use my applicator again, and I'm going to distress the half beads just to give it that uniform look with the tulip. And I thought that would be really cute. So I'm gonna leave it like that. Now I'm realizing I'm not liking that little hole in the top, so I have another wood bead that kind of goes with these, and I just went ahead and adhered it. And I went ahead and added the paint, and now distressed that as well. So now it's complete. Set that aside. Now I'm going to take another wood round. This one is also from the Dollar Tree. This one doesn't have any decor on it. It's just plain. And I'm going to go in with the Waverly chalk paint in the color Snow White again. And now I'm going to give it a layer of the Mod Podge. Allow that to dry. In the meantime, I am taking one of these beautiful doilies. These are the paper doilies from the Dollar Tree. I'm taking one of the big ones and I'm putting the rest away. Now I'm going to take my parchment paper and set my doily on top. I realized I had two on here. Take it down to one. And I'm going to add my Mod Podge to this doily, and I'm going to saturate this whole piece with it. And I don't normally show this much of a step, but I wanted you guys to see that I just go from the middle and go straight down, paying the most attention to the lacy portion of the doily. Now we set this aside to dry. Now here it is, nice and dry. Now it's time to remove the doily from the parchment paper, and this is going to take a little bit of patience because it's kind of sticking, but since it is parchment paper, it will come off. You just have to be a little patient. And I've realized turning it over like this was the easiest way to remove the doily from the parchment paper, like this. Now somehow I didn't film this portion, but all I did was take my wood round that had the Mod Podge and I placed some more of the napkin paper and then the doily that had the Mod Podge on top of that, and some more of the parchment paper to adhere everything together with my mini easy press and activate all the Mod Podge on all the layers. So that's the wood round, some more of the napkin paper, and the doily, all getting fused together with the mini easy press and the parchment paper. And of course, allow this to cool down before removing the parchment paper. So here I'm taking my finger sander to sand off all the excess paper. Now I'm going to place my wood round that has the tulip, and I'm just going to add some hot glue and adhere this to the very center of my second wood round. And I'm loving the effect of the green behind the doily. I think that's just a beautiful effect. Gives it another layer of interest and texture. Now here I'm going to go ahead and do some more of the distressing with my applicator and my Tim Holtz distressing ink, just to give it that additional dimension. And now I'm going to use some boxwood. This one's from Walmart. Dollar Tree does have boxwood, but I ran out, so I'm just having to use this one. And I went ahead and went all the way around my wood round, and now I'm just going to finish off this edge with some of this white nylon cotton blend string. And I'm just going to adhere it with some hot glue and go all the way around, and that is it. I think this came out super cute. This is how it looks. For DIY number 12, I'm going to begin with two of these candle holders from the Dollar Tree in the light blue, and two of these cones made out of styrofoam from the Dollar Tree as well. And I'm going to use my hot glue, and I'm going to adhere them to the tops of my candle holders in this manner. Now I'm going to use some of these plastic garlands from the Dollar Tree. I did buy 3, but ended up using just 1 for each tree. So I'm going to take it apart, pull everything off, and I'm going to take my razor utility knife to create like a little cut, and then with my sharp scissors I'm just going to finish cutting up these eggs in half like this. They're super easy, they're just soft plastic, and here they are, not all nice and cut. So now I can start adhering these onto my styrofoam cone, and I'm just going to take a blue one, add a little bit of glue to the top and to the bottom, and placing it in this position. And then opposite, I will take a white, place it on that side, and then next I will do a pink, and I just glue the top and the bottoms. That's all you really need. Place it on there, and then finally the yellow. Make sure to place the narrow part on the top and the wider part of the egg on the bottom. Now I'll go ahead and continue with the colors, going in a circular motion. So the yellow will create a pattern, and next is the white. So as you can see, it'll create a swirl kind of effect. Just keep going with the same colors underneath it like this, and just continue this pattern until it's all done like this. Now I'm going to take 2 more eggs that are not cut. I'm going to take my knife and cut a little flat piece on the bottom, because these will go on the very tippy tops of my trees, my topiaries. So here I'm just removing all that piece. Now I'm adding some hot glue and placing it on the very top. And I do this to both. One is a yellow and one is a pink. Look how cute. Now I'm going to take some of these flowers from the Dollar Tree. They're called larkspurs. And I'm going to remove all the blossoms. And using a sharp weeding tool, I'm going to create holes where these larkspurs will go in, these blossoms. And I just use a little bit of hot glue, and look, so cute. Here's how they look. For DIY number 13, I'm going to take one of these new hanging metal decor pieces, and I'm just going to take some more of this napkin. I'm loving this napkin, guys. What can I say? And you guessed it, we are going to do some more decoupaging. So I'm just going to add some Mod Podge to this piece. Now this one here, I don't wait for it to dry. I go ahead and add my napkin paper to the top or to the front of this piece, and I'm not going to be too careful. I'm not even going to worry if I get some wrinkles, because I do have a trick up my sleeve. So here I'm just going to do the back as well, add some Mod Podge, and I'm just going to simply wrap the rest of this napkin paper around this piece, and I go ahead and seal it up with some more Mod Podge. Now for this excess, I was going to snip it off, but I'm going to do the wet brush method to remove the excess. I kind of prefer it. It kind of removes it a little bit better, a little bit easier, especially in those tight little spots that is hard to remove. Now for the excess, I will kind of push down inside, and that way it'll have a clean front. And I'll add some Mod Podge to get everything nice and adhered. And I also go over the front to seal it all up. And again, like I mentioned, I'm not going to be all careful about getting any wrinkles, and I do end up getting some wrinkles, but I'll show you how to fix that. So here it is, nice and dry. Yeah, there's some wrinkles. So I'm just going to take my parchment paper and my mini easy press and smooth those wrinkles away. Oh, how I wish we could do that in real life. But yes, that's the trick. That's all it takes. Now again, since the Mod Podge is on the outside, then you do have to wait for the parchment paper to cool down, and since this is metal, it's going to take a little while for it to cool down. But once it's cooled down, you just remove the parchment paper easily, and look at that. Wrinkle free. Yes. Okay, so now I'm going to do the back as well real quick to show you guys the same thing. It works wonderfully. Takes all the wrinkles away. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So wish we could do that for ourselves here. Okay, so now that it's nice and smoothed out, oh, I do the sides as well. Do the sides. I do the whole piece. I just want to make sure it's looking cute. Just gotta wait for that to cool down before removing the parchment paper. Don't want to peel anything off. Now I'm going to go in with some of the Waverly antique wax, and I'm using a craft clip with a baby wipe that's already dry, and I'm just going to antique this whole piece, give it a nice distressed look. I want everything to be cohesive and look super cute. I even tried to do the handle. The handle was a little bit more difficult, but only because it doesn't really have anything to hang on to, but I did it anyway. Yeah, why not? So now I'm just going to add a little bit of this floral foam on the inside of my container, and I'm going to add a little bit more hot glue to get everything nice and anchored inside. And now I'm going to go in with some of these pretty German statice flowers. I think the flowers are really pretty. The blooms, they are beautiful. And I'm just going to snip them apart with my EMT shears, and I'm just going to place all my blooms inside in this manner. And look how pretty. These blooms are so gorgeous. And once I get them all in my little container, then I'm going to take some of this burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to snip off enough to place around the top of the planter in this manner. And I'll just add it with a little bit of hot glue, and I'll use my silicone spatula so I don't burn my fingers, because you know these burlap ribbons are pretty thin. And safety first, guys. Always safety first. Hold it down till it sets, and now we can continue and create a nice big bow to go on the front. So I'm just taking a nice long piece, and I'm going to snip off what I need and create a quick bow with a little piece of jute twine in the center like this. And I'll go ahead and tie a nice double knot so it's nice and secure. Try to make it as tight as possible. It just makes the bow a little bit more cute. And I'm going to dovetail the ends, of course. So we have to dovetail these ends. And add a dab of glue and place my bow in the center. Now I wanted to add something to the center of the bow, and I found a little tiny pink flower, and just to go with the bottom part of the planter, I just added that for a pop of color. And at the Dollar Tree, I also found one of these cute little galvanized metal watering cans, so you know I had to use that. So I'm going to use my Waverly antique wax to give that a little bit of distressing, like I did everything else. Got to make it look like it's been rusted out in the garden, especially where the water would be hitting, like this. And now I'm going to need to bend the stake a little bit, that way the can looks like it's watering my flowers. So I'm just trying to figure out the best way to bend it. Finally I figured it's going to be like this. And this is how it looks. For DIY number 14, I'm going to take 5 of these little house forms from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go in with these colors, paint them like this. And I'm going to take some of this super glue wood glue, and I'm going to adhere them all together to create one large housing unit. And I'm going to use some of these craft clamps to secure them in place while the glue sets. Now this glue sets pretty quickly, but the fact that it's a long house, I'm going to set this aside, allow it to dry completely. And I didn't show it, but I did add a little bit of nutmeg brown on the inside of these houses just to give it a little bit of a gingerbread look. So now here I'm taking these clings, these window clings, and I'm just going to remove these banners. I thought these banners were super cute and would look great here. So I'm going to take 2 at a time, cut them, and place them on these houses. Now these houses are dry erase boards, so they do great with these window clings. I do add Mod Podge to adhere them, but you can also just leave them on there as a temporary thing and use them for something else later on. And I'm also going to use some of these florals in this other pack of window clings because I thought the flowers were super pretty. So So I'm going to place these on one on each of the little houses. And I'm also going to use some of the butterflies and place them above the banners, just because they're so cute. Now here's where I go ahead and add my Mod Podge, and I place it on everything, including all the dry erase parts, because I want this more permanent. Now I'm going to allow this to dry completely. Now here it is, nice and dry. And now at the Dollar Tree, I found these Peeps. They're string lights for $5, and I thought, hey, these would be cute on this DIY. But I honestly did not care for the lights themselves. I just wanted the little figures. So I removed all the lights. We'll use that for another time. Now I'm just going to add my little figures in my little houses. And all I'm going to do is add 2 little Peeps to each house. And I'll adhere them with some hot glue. And then I do embellish with some of those Dollar Tree twine eggs. And that is it for this one. This is how they look. For DIYs number 15 and 16, I'm going to begin with 4 of these long wooden arrows from the Dollar Tree, and then 4 of these shorter ones as well. I'm also using 8 of these wood planks, these longer ones measuring the 7 inches. And I'm going to go in with the Nutmeg Brown by Apple Barrel, paint everything up. And now I'm going to start adhering my wood together and forming my shapes. I'm just going to use the super glue wood glue from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to start to create my little houses. I was going to originally make the same houses that I made for Christmas, the little air houses. I was going to make 2 large ones, 2 tall ones, and 2 short ones, but then I decided to change things up a little bit, and so we'll show you what I did. But here I'm just creating the houses like I did the original ones from Christmas, just by placing these wood planks and some of this glue and allowing that to set and dry. Now here's where I start changing my plans. So I went ahead and added the 2 sides, and instead of adding another tall arrow, I'm adding more of the short arrows, which I didn't realize here at this moment that the short arrow is actually more wide than the tall arrow. So I kind of had to finagle the 2 sides, that way it'll fit. So it's a little bit whimsical, but it still works. And I went ahead and did this to all of them. And I placed these bottles to help hold them in place. Now here they are, nice and dry. Now here I decided to try something new. I picked up these packages of, they call it glitter drape, which is actually felt for Easter. And it's got some glitter in it, and it's pretty thin. But I thought, okay, I'm going to cut some of this. And I'm going to line the fronts of my houses to make it look like it's a cookie. So I will leave a little space on the sides so you can see that it's gingerbread. But on the front, on the middle, it'll be this color, this pink. So it'll look like a cookie, like a frosted cookie. And I know what you're thinking, well, this is fabric, how's that going to happen? Well, I'll show you that in a minute. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and cut all these pieces off. That way I can just have a little bit of the brown showing, which is the gingerbread. And I'll just continue this until I get it all trimmed like this. So see, you can still see a little bit of brown. So now I'm going to take some of the Lane's Tacky Glue, and I'm just going to add this onto my felt, my Easter felt, and place it down onto the wood like this, and then flip up the bottom side and do that section, and this will help hold it in place until our next step. So I'm just going to place it down like this, and I go ahead and do this to both houses. I do alternate the colors, so I did the yellow and I did the pink. Now I'm going to take some of this rickrack, and I'm using the light blue and the purple and some hot glue, and I'm just going to trim out this whole piece. Wherever the felt is, it will receive some of this rickrack. So I just take my time with the hot glue and get it all trimmed up like this. So now I'm going to take some of this Mod Podge. This is hard coat Mod Podge, and this is where I'm going to set all the fabric because I'm going to saturate this felt with some of this hard coat Mod Podge and get them all done. And I did allow these to dry overnight, and look, here they are, nice and dry. And yes, these are hard now. Hard coat, yes it is. Okay, so now I'm going to place my little doors and windows. I had these painted white from another project which I didn't get to use, so I had them available, and these are from Amazon, and I'll have everything linked in my description box for you guys. But they are super cute. Love these. These are great for wood surfaces that are nice and flat. They fit great. So I'm just going to add all these pieces onto them, and also those little square windows to the sides of my houses. And I love using these colors. These are just pastel gingy colors for Easter, or you could use them for Christmas too. Yeah, the pastel colors are great for Christmas as well. Now I'm going to set these aside for a minute, and I'm going to take 2 of these Dollar Tree trays, and I'm going with the color Nutmeg Brown and give it a full coat. And I'm cutting up some more of the pool noodle to place on top of the tray, which will be inside of the houses. So I'm just going to adhere them with some hot glue and place them right in the center. And now I'm placing the houses right on top like this because I changed my mind again. Instead of putting a roof on these houses, I'm going to use these as planters, because when I think of spring and Easter, I think of florals, beautiful florals. So I'm going to go in with some of these Dollar Tree eucalyptus ones and these baby breath in white and in pink. And I'm going to go ahead and snip them off their base. And I go ahead and add my florals off camera because it always takes me a while. But look how cute. Now I picked up these Christmas tree looking bottle brush trees with the Easter eggs from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to place one on the side of one house and one on the side of the other house. Kind of wish I would have picked up more, but that's okay. 2's good. So I went ahead and placed that in there. And now to finish embellishing these houses, I'm going to use some of these tumbling tower blocks to create steps, and some of these macarons. They're made out of resin from Amazon, and some more rickrack. And this is how they look. The other 2 houses that I had left, and I'm going to take some of this Waverly chalk paint in the color celery, and I'm going to paint the inside. Instead of using that felt, I'm going to do some paint, kind of create that cookie look. And I'm going to take some of the apple barrel paint in the color white, and I pour a little bit in the cap, and using a thick brush with some good strong bristles, I'm just going to flick some of this paint onto the fronts of these houses, give it that speckled look. That way these are a little bit different than the other houses, and these will actually be more of a neutral tone, by the way. These won't be so colorful like the first set of houses. And I'm just going to do a little bit of this paint, but just look how cute the speckled look. I think it's really cute for Easter especially. Look at that, so cute. So now I'm going to take some of the Tulip puffy paint, and I'm going to do a little bit of trimming. Instead of rickrack, I'm going to use the puffy paint, and just with a little circular motion, kind of like a curly motion, I'm going to outline this front of the house. And I do both houses, and actually I'll do the other side as well, the inside portion. I'll do a little bit of the puffy paint, because you gotta have puffy paint with gingerbread at some point. So here I went ahead and did the inside here, and I'll just set these aside, allow them to dry completely overnight. Here they are, nice and dry. And yes, these will be planters as well. Speaking of planters, I found these adorable pots at the Dollar Tree, and using some more of this pool noodle. Yes, I'm still using the same one. It came in real handy for these DIYs, I gotta tell you. So here I went ahead and cut 2 in the same size, since these planters are the same size. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little house, place it on top of this piece of pool noodle, and I'm going to use my utility knife and slice a little bit on each side, and then make like a little groove That way my little house can fit in there perfectly, and it'll be stable inside of my pot. Won't be rolling around. So here I'm just gonna a little bit more. I've never done this before, so this is definitely a learning thing here. Trial and error. But I finally got it to where it's stable, and I placed it in my pot. Fits pretty well. Now I'm going to place my little doors and windows on these houses first. It'll be a little easier laying flat on the table than in the pot or the planter. So here I'm just going to place these on there. I didn't have the little square windows for the sides, so these will just have the front like this. Look how cute. So now I'm going to take some hot glue and place the hot glue in the sides of the pool noodle, and then place the pool noodle inside and wait for it to stabilize and wait for all the glue to set, and then we can move on to some embellishing. I wanted to keep this a little bit neutral, so I'm going to go in with some of these onion grass with the butterflies, some of this foliage, and some of these wildflowers, this carrot bottle brush, these little pieces, these odds and ends here and there, and here's how they look. And for DIY number 17, I'm taking this home sign from Valentine's, I think, and I'm taking my little metal scraper and removing the corrugated heart, save it for another project, and remove any paper that's kind of like lifting off and that's bumpy on there, any glue. And I'm going to go in with some of the Waverly chalk paint in the color white, and so I'll paint this real quick. In the meantime, while that's drying, I'm taking one of these decals, these wall decals, wall stickers from the Dollar Tree, and all I'm going to use are the little drops of water. That's all I'm going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all these out, and I'm going to utilize all these little pieces of craft sticks that I have cut off from other projects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few of these big drops of water, the bigger ones, 3 or 4 of them, and I'm just going to add some of these pieces of wood on the back, because I want to give some of these drops of water a little bit of dimension, a little bit of a 3D look. So I'll add it to the back, I'll peel it open to expose the sticky side, and I'll add a few of these little wood pieces to the back, and I'll do this to, I think, 3 or 4 of these bigger drops of water, and that's all I do. I don't do the rest. And now that the paint on my board is nice and dry, I'm going to take my little chibi brush that had the Waverly antiquing wax on it, and I'm just going to go around the perimeter and give it a little bit of definition and make the board look like it's been outside for a little while, a little bit worn. And now I'm just going to take one of these wall stickers from the Dollar Tree, and look at this, these flowers are so beautiful. Don't even know what kind of flower this is, but if you guys know, let me know down below. And now for this last little piece of flower that I had left, I'm going to add some of these little pieces of wood And I'm also going to add some of the tumbling tower blocks to give it more height. And this flower is going to be placed on the bottom, and it'll give it a little bit of more of a 3D look. So one of the flowers, which is this one, will kind of pop out. So it'll be looking really cute on the bottom, just popping right out. Now all I have left to do is adhere all my little drops of water, my little raindrops. So I have the ones that are popping up a little bit and the ones that are laying flat. And I'm done. What do you guys think? If you're on Instagram, here's my QR code. I invite you to scan it and come follow me on there. As well as TikTok, here's my QR code for there. Here is my QR code for Facebook, as well as my Pinterest. Here's my QR code for there. And here is my fan base account. I just created this one. And here's my Lemonade account as well. And my Threads account. This is my handle. Here's my Home Talk QR code. I invite you to come scan it. Post on there twice a month. I do have a Facebook crafting group. I invite you to come join us there. And I'd like to take a moment and express my gratitude for taking time out of your busy day to watch my video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And if you want to see more, definitely subscribe. There's lots more coming. And until my next video, stay healthy, safe, and strong. And have a great, great day. Bye-bye.